Well, to help us break down what the FBI is doing right now behind the scenes are three top crime experts: former FBI profiler Jim Clemente, national security expert Aaron Cohen, and Ed Bernero, a former Chicago police officer and executive producer of the hit show Criminal Minds. Gentlemen, let's get right into it. Thank you for being here. Everyone's speculating. There's pics of possible suspects. Let's dispel these rumors and what's really going on with the FBI right now.
Well, they're going to pay attention to every single detail, from social media to the photographs and movies that are taken at the scene. I mean, there's plenty of things going on electronically beforehand and afterwards. Every attack like this is preceded by pre-attack surveillance, so they're going to be looking for those instances beforehand in surveillance cameras and so forth over social media and cell phone towers. All that stuff is going to happen, and if you look at the pictures that they're circulating right now, it seems like the demeanor of the people that they're showing is consistent with pre-attack surveillance.
Now, when you saw the tape of the explosion, did you know it was an IED immediately?
Yeah, you can tell. Well, there was a very distinct signature. I was trained in Israel. The bomb, the blast, you could tell it was very hot because of the color of the smoke. The fact that it was placed on the street or right by the street led me to believe that somebody had to have either placed it there or detonated it on themselves or in a bag. And then there were also two explosions, and it's important to look at the signature of terror. They want to do as much damage in the shortest period of time to create that fear. So as soon as the second one went off, and people have been saying lone wolf, there's just no way. There's no coincidences when it comes to terror. And also to back up on the on what the former FBI gentleman said here, as far as the FBI, what I've noticed with them, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're just trying to pull themselves away from the media in order to slow things down, because these guys are methodical and they work really, really slow, and that's why they're one of the top investigative services.
They're going to slow themselves down in terms of the media, but not in terms of the push to find these guys. They are going 100% full out, every agent on hand doing their job, making sure that they get all the details.
Methodically.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Well, how difficult is it to track a bomber? Because in that certain circumstance, and I know there's been cell phones and video that people have submitted and stuff, but I mean, it still has got to be incredibly difficult, right?
But except that in bombings, especially when you have shrapnel like this, you can actually tie it back to the people a lot easier. The fact is that these are low energy explosives. They're not high powered explosives. So it's probably gunpowder, black powder, that kind of stuff.
It's not Semtex or C4.
No, it's something that is subsonic, so the pieces don't get torn apart as much. And the initiators and where the circuits were made, all those things are going to be leads that the FBI is going to follow.
So there is no chance that this is possibly a single person as opposed to a group? No sort of like homegrown Timothy McVeigh sort of terrorism, or is there?
Sure, there's always a chance that it's one person. It's not likely in this case that it's one person.
Why is that?
Just because of that there were two devices and there were such a large amount of people, and that they went off sort of simultaneously. But it's always possible that it's one. But if I could say something about these guys are investigators. I was a uniformed cop. Here's when I saw the bombs, what struck me is how many people, both uniformed and not, ran into the middle of it to help people. Even when the second bomb went off, no one sort of went, oh my God, we got to help ourselves. And that's the kind of thing that makes me proud, because that's what I used to do when I sort of watch that now, and I'm sort of really aware of how many people just don't even give a thought to themselves. They just go straight into the middle of something like that.
Yeah, those first responders are just like the bravest guys in the world to go in there. Well, in finding this person, this suspect, how instrumental are cell phone footage and videos and all that? I mean, is that going to be the...
Completely, and that's what's different now. Is there's videotape everywhere. There's security cameras. There's cell phones. I'm sure that by the end of the day, you'll find that these guys were on hundreds of different pictures from different angles. That it's completely different today.
There were false reports out there that some suspects were being named and people were arrested. I mean, is that a case of maybe jumping the gun and the media wanting to break the story, or is it an innocent mistake?
Well, I think it could be a little bit of both. I think media, they'll typically get a source to tell them something. If they can verify it from one other person, whether that person is right or wrong, they print it, they go with it. The fact is the FBI is not going to do that. They're going to actually have proof beyond any reasonable doubt before they name names, before they make arrests, because they want to make sure that they get the right guys and they shut this down.
What evidence do they need before they make an arrest?
Well, they need probable cause. They need to see that they are tying these people, whoever they arrest, to the actual devices, or to calls made or communications made before or after the event.
Or to portions of the devices. It doesn't necessarily have to be the device, but it may be pieces of the bag. There may be some forensic evidence on those actual bags that they were carrying, which might show up in something that just isn't coincidental. Once the Americans figure this out, this is going to be a much tougher country to mess with. And I'm very excited about this thing that's happening with the security in this country because it's time.
And here's what I'd like to know as someone who's been on the ground. I would want to know, was there something different about the place where the bomb was put and not the bleachers across the street where there were more people? I would want to know the procedures in the two places and if there was something different on that side of the street that made that a target for them or something, a target of opportunity, as opposed to where I think they would have hurt many more people is the bleachers across the street. There may have been something different in the two procedures that is something sort of, you know, to keep in mind in the future. There might have been something that made that easier for them to hit than the place where they could have done more damage.
Well, gentlemen, I've really enjoyed hanging with you, and I can be talking to you all day. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. Thank you for watching Extra on YouTube.
And for 24/7 updates on celebrity news, subscribe to our channel here, like us on Facebook here, or follow us on Twitter here.
And if you want your voice heard, leave a comment below.
Where?
Right there.